Welcome everybody to another episode of Sankirtan Stories, again featuring with our appreciation and gratitude for Mahotsaha Pr. And he is going to describe a little different aspect from his last interview with us, where previously he described his methods for Sankirtan and the types of books that he distributes and the inspiration that he has for distributing books. But today we're going to feature his experience in becoming the world leader, the world record holder for distributing Srila Prabhupada's big books in one day. So thank you for sharing your time with us, and maybe you can lead us off with whose record did you beat? And we can give him some acknowledgement.
Yeah, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vikas Swamiti Name, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Name, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashati Tistarani. Thank you, Siddhanta Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity to get your association again. So, the person's record who by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, Hari Guru and Vaishnava, that I was able to cross beyond is Harinama Prabhu. He's, I've heard so much about him. His record was 913 Maha books in one day.
Okay, that's great. And where is he from?
As far as I know, he's from Zurich.
Okay. So take us to the day that, or the moment or the time that you were interested in attempting to break his record. Obviously, his being the record holder inspired you that, there's competition in the spiritual world. So tell me about your consciousness and desire to break that record and what led up to that day.
Yeah. So there's three books, which, other than, of course, all of Srila Prabhupada's books, there's three books which really inspired me to, really firstly be fixed up in book distribution and to always go above and beyond the dictates of the mind. The first and the foremost book, and I strongly recommend everyone to read it, is this book called On Speaking Strongly in Srila Prabhupada's Service by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami. This book, it really changed my life. I understood so much about book distribution and our whole Guru Parampara from that. And the first time I had actually found out about Harinamananda Prabhu is from this book called Nectar of Book Distribution. Mm-hmm. In this book, there's actually, it's really the Nectar of Book Distribution.
Who wrote that one? Who compiled that?
So this is, this was actually written by a disciple of Harikesh Swami at the time, Atma Tattva Prabhu.
Atma Tattva, okay.
Atma Tattva Prabhu.
Not Prabhupada disciple.
Not Prabhupada disciple.
Okay.
Atma Tattva Prabhu, he has compiled it. It's different interviews of devotees and the philosophy of Sankirtan and the excerpts from lectures and all these things. And it was printed by the BBT, but now now it's being printed by Bhakti Vikas Trust. It's BVT.
Okay.
And I'm just saying. And now they, they were not, BBT was not printing anymore. So I guess they got their rights.
Okay.
So this book is available in stock for anyone.
Okay. That's legitimate.
So, I heard about him from this book, Nectar of Book Distribution. And, ever since I found out about it, I was constantly meditating and praying to Krishna that, is it even possible? Is it even possible for me to do it? Because, when I was 20, I had broken the most amount of books, the record for the most amount of books distributed in New York. I actually had the good fortune of meeting Pragosh Prabhu, and it was just like a few hundred books, nothing close to Harinamananda Prabhu's record. And I thought to myself, is it actually even possible? Mm-hmm. And, ever since I found out about it, so these two books, Nectar of Book Distribution and this book, All Glory to the Sankirtan Devotees, these two books came into my life almost simultaneously.
Okay.
And them coming into my life was something, it was just something, I looked at it as a sign from Krishna to actually show what, Sankirtan really is. I used to spend hours every day looking at the pictures in this book, Srila Prabhupada's pictures. And then in part of this book is actually pictures of the devotees distributing Srila Prabhupada's books.
Oh, yes. Sure. Very good.
And and the Hainamananda Prabhu is there too. So I used to look at this picture, so much. I used to observe, I used to see the devotees. I used to read this book. This book almost became like my Bible. I would like read it at least like for a few minutes every day before book distribution, after book distribution. And I would read it, and it really gave me a lot of inspiration. I actually understood that wow, there is a whole other realm of book distribution that I'm really not even aware of. That I was basically like a frog in a well, thinking, wow, there's as much as that can be done. But reading these books actually helped me understand there's a whole other world of book distribution, and there's devotees in the past who actually did it, and they actually made it happen. I found out about this book probably at the age of 22. I found out about the record at the age of 22, and it took me 4 years of constant praying and endeavoring to like up my game on books, really up my game on books. There's so many awesome pictures in these books. There's so many, for example, I really like this picture of Kavi Chandamaraj. He's in this, and he's with the Asian devotee, and they're both standing next to each other, and it says the Zen of book distribution. And it's like, so it was just like, wow, that's awesome. Just imagine like being like a 22 years old, just joining the movement like 2.5 years, and like coming in touch with this book and reading it. It completely like changed my life, me looking at this. So
very good. So the pictures were inspirational. How about any stories within the book that results maybe from Sankirtan that were like miracles?
There's so many in this book. I can just like read a.
Tell me one. Okay.
That. I'll read a small. I'll read the intro. I'll read like a small part of this book. Okay. Okay. All glories to the Sankirtan devotees. Some of these transcendental warriors have been distributing for years without stop, day in and day out. They are fully dedicated to the Sankirtan service of their spiritual master and Krishna. Although such souls are rarely to be found in this world, the materialists cannot imagine that there are only a handful of them. I see you people everywhere. How many of you are there anyway? Thousands? Due to the Sankirtan devotees' intensity of endeavor and boundless enthusiasm, the materialists cannot imagine that such an impact comes from a handful of dedicated men. This is a potency of one Sankirtan devotee. He can deliver a whole country by his spiritual determination to bring the books of Srila Prabhupada to every door.
Very good. Lead us up to then that day that you actually broke his record, and what your mindset was, and did you know that you were going to break it? Okay.
So like, I'd like to take you back like a few different instances when it happened. The first time I had come close to beating Hainamananda Prabhu's record was, not really close, but I had distributed 600 books in the Hemp Fest in Boston. There was a Boston Hemp Fest. People were super stoned. And I would just
what kind? Oh, Hemp Fest?
Hemp Fest,
okay.
The marijuana, like basically that's all the stone bro fest.
Yeah.
So like, there were all these, stoners. I used to tell them, wow, my man, you look so high. Like you're going to fly to the spiritual sky, man. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I just go there and give them the books, and they're like, wow, and they'd buy it. And like, they were so stoned that they would buy the books and they'd forget that they gave me money for it. They would give me some more money. I'd give them some more books, and they'd forget that they gave me money. And they'd, it just, so many people, they're like completely out of their minds buying. Anyway, it's a good thing they bought so many books. I don't know, it helps you stay high forever. No more coming down. They're like, wow, amazing. So the first time it happened, it was like 600 books. I was like, oh man, I tried. And then, one day I really pushed myself, and, I wanted to explain this, that it's been such a constant meditation. And I always thought about this, that, during Srila Prabhupada's time, there was Tripurari Swami, there was Praghosh Prabhu, there was Brigupati Prabhu, there was, Charudeshna Prabhu. There were like
Gopavrinda Pal
Prabhu. All these stalwart devotees distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, and they were doing so huge. And I thought to myself that, they did it. And then, then the next generation came about, and, Harinamananda Prabhu, Brihad Bhanu Prabhu, Naveen Nirada Prabhu, all these other devotees, they also like expanded, the realm of book distribution so much. And, I was thinking that if, it happened in a moment. And even if you see in the mundane world, like, for example, about in basketball in the NBA, there's like a record for number of 3-pointers that were shot. So first there was this guy called Reggie Miller. He shot maybe like 2,000 3-pointers. Then Ray Allen came through. He shot 2,500. And now Stephon Curry, he came through and he broke that record. So I was thinking that if the Karmis are doing like this, how much more should it be for the devotees who are drowning in the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? Our movement is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, is an ever-expanding ocean of transcendental bliss. That means that, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is ever increasing and is ever expanding. So I thought to myself that we have to do this, So I picked up a stack of 14 books, and then I approached 6 people in a row who all gave me $108, and I distributed 6 of these stacks in 10 minutes. 84 books in 10 minutes. And I was like, this is awesome. So like, I just kept like fighting till the last minute until there was no one left to distribute books. And I just admitted defeat. I like, okay, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So then I wrote an email to my spiritual master about, how basically explaining whatever I just said. And then he wrote a reply to me, which basically changed the way I was looking at everything. Somehow the other, it completely changed everything. He said, it's ecstatic. It's ecstatic Sankirtan report indeed. I can only pray that the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada will continue to flow through you and all the other devotees there who are so dedicatedly distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Very good also. And then he said, very good also that you caught the attention of so many book distributors like Brigupati Prabhu. And then this is where like it completely changed my life. He said, see if you can get up to doing 1,000 books a day, or at least sometimes. I know it is not easy, but that is within the realm of possibility. So then the last 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 8 words. So keep on trying and keep on praying. So, here I was thinking, oh man, I probably never worked so hard again, 750 books. Yeah. I tried.
That's
but
a
then
good
here
number.
my spiritual master, huh?
That's a good number. I mean, you could be thinking that you're satisfied with that.
I was completely satisfied. And here's my spiritual master saying that, you should at least do 1,000 books every day. If not every day, at least sometimes you should do it. And I was thinking like, oh my God, like here it is, the order of the spiritual master is there. And, he told me, keep on trying and keep on praying. So ever since that day to all the way until the 5th of December, my prayer, my effort, my endeavor, it was constantly increasing more and more and more and more. Like the intensity of my japa, the intensity of, the focus, there's a focus that we need in that Sankirtan devotees should have, especially like when we're going out on book distribution. There's a certain amount of, attention that that all devotees need to give to the holy name. Everything comes from the holy name. So I was focusing on my rounds, as much as possible. And I was sitting in front of Tulsi Maharani, begging her. When I chant my rounds, the way I sit here, then Tulsi Maharani is in front of me. And then behind her is Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasana. So I like that straight angle. It was so much intense prayer, that it finally, that it actually happened. I remember I told Bhakta Matthew, like, and Krishna Prasad, like, Prabhu, tomorrow I'm going to break Hainamananda Prabhu's record. Tomorrow I'm going to break it. And then they were like, oh, really? Really? How are you going to do it? I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to happen, man. We have to do this. We got to do this. I may die anytime, I have to do this. And I felt like this madness just like take over my entire being, my sense, like we have to do it. And for some reason, Bhakta Matthew, he had enough faith in me that he said, you want to do it? I'm your guy, So then, from the night of, Bhakta Matthew started planning as to how to pack a Sprinter van. And we got a $60,000 Sprinter van for free. Wow. Brand new Mercedes Sprinter van. And that's a whole other story how we got that one. but someone just gave it to us. One of our devotees' father just gave it to us for Sankirtan. So then Bhakta Matthew somehow manages to remove all the seats in the van other than the passenger seat and the driver's seat, and manages to fill up the entire van with books, in the whole thing with books. And then he actually confessed to me after he had done it, he thought, that, come on, there's no way he's going to distribute all these books. No way.
How many? How many did he pack it with?
Like we packed like 2,000 books. 2,000 or a little bit more than 2,000 books.
Okay.
So a little bit more than 2,000 books. And he's like, there is no way he's going to distribute all these books, But anyway, he packed it, I was, I told Krishna Prasad, he's like, wow, you really got to do this. It's going to be amazing. Just do it. It'll be great. And I was like, yeah, tomorrow is the day. It's good. And I was praying, and I was praying to Krishna, like Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, tapamyaham aham varsham nigrinami sujamicha, that you withhold and you send forth rain. So I beg you, please don't let it rain tomorrow, Krishna, please, I was praying to Krishna because like, anything can go wrong. In Sankirtan, like so many things can go wrong,
Sure.
And about how sometimes when you work really hard for the mission of Lord Chaitanya, you can experience the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is palpable, it is there. And you can experience it if you're following the process, if you're trying to please Srila Prabhupada. So, I was, all these days, every day I go out, I used to I always try my best to outdo myself, go hard or go home, that's the thing. So we have to go hard every day on the streets, whenever we're out there, no mercy, take no prisoners, just go and distribute Prabhupada's books. I remember that day, the Guru Puja that we had in the car while we were driving, because Guru Vandana is so inspiring. Worship of Srila Prabhupada is the most inspiring thing in the whole world. It's, better than me, better than so many people in the world. Worshipping Srila Prabhupada is so nectarian. It's a more, I remember we were chanting the Guru Vandana, we were chanting the, this, and then, while we were chanting this really, crazy thing, happened, I very strongly felt the mercy of all the spiritual masters in the discipline succession. And I especially felt the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And I felt his mercy. And then it became so evident that this image of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of him sitting like this and he's holding a book in his hand. It became stuck in my mind, so much so that wherever I was looking at everything along with and at the back of my eyes, the back of my mind, I was seeing this picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wherever he was. And then I understood, Srila Prabhupada writes, say Mohanta Guru, Jagatira Madhya Guru, Krishna Bhakti Deha Tai. He writes then, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, Sachi Suta Priya Ati. That Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is very dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Sachi Devi. And his devotion to Krishna is unparalleled in the world. And by his desire, Krishna consciousness can spread in every nook and cranny of this world. And I had that deal, and no matter what I did, if I closed my eyes, if I opened my eyes, even when I was taking prasadam, even when I was talking to Bhakta Matthew, I could see this image of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And I realized that no matter how much I wanted, the Guru Parampara wants these books to go out more than me. I just have to get out of their way. And then all the stores opened and we set up the table and we were ready to go. So from that point onwards, I was laser focused on the mission of distributing Prabhupada's books. And I remember I started off the books, I started distributing a few stacks. But then, at the same time, I was thinking like, oh man, could it really happen today? But then this one really amazing miracle happened where I meet two people and at the same, and I have this picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like an impression in my mind's eye that I cannot get rid of, even if I want. I would have to get rid of it.
Imprinted on your consciousness, on your brain, on your mind's eye.
on my mind's eye. It was there and I couldn't get rid of it. And these two, I didn't want to, obviously, but these two people came up to me, and then there's something really mystical happened where I was talking to both of them, two different people, two completely different conversations. And there's this pastime of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and I've heard it from other devotees. I need to do my research further about it. But in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's, some of his last days, so I've been told, I have to do more research into it, that he was actually, sitting on his bed, and he would have three brahmacharis, three devotees, one on the right, one on the left, one ahead of him on the bed. And he would be, dictating three different articles to three of these different people. And he would say one line to one brahmachari, and while he's writing one line down, he'd say another thing to another brahmachari, and while he's writing another thing down, he would say something else to the other brahmachari. And they would be completely different topics, completely. One could be of Jiva Tattva, another one could be about maybe like, distributing books, another one could be about like Gora Dham or whatever, and he would, by the time this brahmachari would be done, he would have spoken about two completely different things, and would come right back and tell this brahmachari. But just like how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was doing this, I had two simultaneous conversations with two different people, and I told them two completely different things. And then
they didn't know each other.
They didn't know each other. They didn't know each other. They were one guy's from somewhere, the other guy's from somewhere, And I have spoken to both these people, and within 1 minute of me having these two conversations with the person, I would say one thing while this person is ingesting what I'm saying. I would say the same thing. I would say something else to this other guy. And while he's thinking about what I'm saying, I'll say like this, do, like this, like back and forth. And then within 1 minute, I distributed two Bhagavatam sets to completely different people. And then, I'm like, oh my God, today's the day. Today's the day. It better happen. It has to happen today. Here's a clear sign from Krishna. And then, I was just going for it and going for it and going for it. And then at a certain time, all I could see, like, of course, in the back of my mind was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It was me, Srila Prabhupada's books, and the person in front of me. And I could not see anyone else, and I could not think of anyone else. It was just me, them, and the book. Nothing else mattered. I was laser focused. You're getting this book. You can't say no. No, it's not possible. You have to take this.
And your methods or your lines or your what you were preaching to them was standard things that you would.
It was so spontaneous. I was saying things which I never said before. I never thought of before. It was just like a flow of like this, like divine inspiration, coming from Guru Parampara. I was just like, just saying this, like, and so there's one thing I do. I chant this mantra, and it's given to us by Sridhar Swami, the first commentator on the Bhagavatam.
Okay.
And Sridhar Swami, you obviously know, he's a devotee of Nrsimhadev, right? So if I'm not wrong, I think he opens up his commentary on the Bhagavatam by quoting two verses. The first verse, and this, I always chant this mantra before I distribute books. Vagisha yasya vadane, Lakshmi yasya shivakshisi, yasyasya hridaye samvit, tam nrisimham aham bhaje. And the translation is that I worship Lord Nrsimha, on whose tongue resides divine Saraswati, on whose chest resides Lakshmi Devi, and who has Samvit Shakti. So I chant this thing, and at that point of time, I realized that, Nrsimha Devi is reciprocating here. Divya Saraswati is there. Divya Saraswati, for atheists, like, for people who have atheistic tendencies like myself, I realized that these people are real. Divya Saraswati is there. And I was just like saying all kinds of things. And if I really think about what I was telling people, why would they reciprocate to what I was saying? I was just saying like the craziest things. I was telling them that, listen, 13 days from now, is Gita Ekadashi. And if you distribute these books to people on that day, then what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of pious credit. So you should take this book.
You're going to get a lot of pious what?
you'll get a lot of pious credit.
Credit.
How do
Okay.
people know what pious credit even is? And I was just saying, something crazy. I'm like, yeah, like Dinu Kasura, Krishna left, threw him on the Balaram, threw him on the tree, and like all the trees fell down, take the books, or like, just something so ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any logical sense from a mundane perspective. What are you saying? Are you crazy? If a salesperson was to see like what you're saying is not going to sell what you're trying to sell. But I was just saying whatever I felt like, whatever came to my mind, whatever came to my mouth, I was just saying, it was just me, Srila Prabhupada's books, and that person. Nothing else mattered. No one else was there. Na sochati, na kanchati. Brahma bhuta prasannatma, na sochati, na kanchati. Sama sarvesham udbhuti, mad bhaktim labate para. That I was not, there is a certain level of consciousness called Sankirtan Samadhi that devotees who are engaged in Srila Prabhupada's book distribution or helping those engaged in Srila Prabhupada's book distribution can completely enter into, where, there is no good or bad. There is not no Ichha, Dvesha, Samuttena, none of the Ichha or Dvesha. There is no hatred, there is no desire, there is no mundane sentiment. It's just what pleases the Guru Parampara. And that's all I was thinking about. And I was thinking about my spiritual master. At least try to do 1,000 books a day. If not every day, at least sometimes. So keep on trying and keep on praying. And of all the Vedic literatures, of everything our Acharya said, my favorite line is just 4 words from the entire Vedic literature, from everything our Acharya said. It's Guru Vakya Parama Mahatva. This is Narottam Das Thakur. It says Guru Vakya Parama Mahatva, that the instruction of the spiritual master is of utmost importance. Guru Vakya Parama Mahatva, that there is nothing more important than the instructions of the spiritual master. And I think about this a lot. Like, even if you read the Bhagavatam, you see that Bali Maharaj, just by worshipping Shukracharya, Shukracharya is basically, Shukra means semen, and Acharya means he's a leader of how to enjoy sex life, basically. If he, who was just a powerful Brahmana, he's not a devotee. If Bali Maharaj, by worshipping Shukracharya, got so much Shakti, so much power, that when he arrived at the gates of heaven, they just split. He got so much power from worshipping his basically material Kula Guru, basically. That I was saying, how much more power can I get? And I'm not doing this for power, I'm doing it for the pleasure of myself. How much more potency can I get to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books if I worship my own spiritual master? So I was thinking Guru Vakya Parama Mahatva. And every time, there were 2 things which are constantly bashing my head up, right? Every time I'm picking up a book, if I'm going to pick up some books on the table, if I'm going to do whatever, 2 things were constantly bashing my mind up, right?
Okay.
I really want to thank you for this, because if it wasn't for you, I would have never thought of what was going on in my mind that day. So one thing was, of course, Guru Vakya Parama Mahatva.
Yeah.
That this. And then Bhakti Vinoda Dhara Kokanaruddha Hoibena. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Bhakti Vinoda Dhara Kokanaruddha Hoibena, that the flow of devotion from Thakur Bhakti Vinod cannot be stopped. It cannot be dammed. It has to flow. I'm not going to dam it up by my mind. The mind is our greatest enemy. And I was trying to transcend my mind when I was out in books. And then when I tried to transcend it, it was me, Prabhupada's books, and that guy, and nothing else mattered. If I saw another perspective candidate, I could have 2. I was having so many times, I was having 2 conversations with 2 completely different people, and they were buying books from me like that. So, and this is the thing. That the mind holds us back so much.
Yes.
I remember Chandan Acharya Prabhu, he was saying in my class that, before, like some years ago, some decades ago, there was this thing called the 4-minute mile, that no one could, run a mile, in less than 4 minutes.
Right.
But then one day an athlete actually went and broke it. And then once that athlete broke it, then all these kids in high school, everyone started breaking this thing.
Right.
And then, then it just became a standard for athletes. So it's just the mind. The mind is our worst enemy. And my mind is a freaking rascal. I need to bash him up, smash him up, thrash him up, and give him a body slam every day. So I was thinking that my mind is such a rascal. I got it. So I was constantly thinking, because you see, Srila Prabhupada says, this book distribution is our most important activity. Do not deviate your mind for a single moment from this instruction. If you were to analyze what Srila Prabhupada is saying, do not deviate your mind for a single moment from this instruction. That is Sankirtan Samadhi. If when we're sleeping, when we're eating, when we're chanting our rounds, when we're walking, when we're talking, when we're breathing, if all we think about is Srila Prabhupada's books, we can be in Sankirtan Samadhi. Mm-hmm. And then that day, although I'm like a nutcase, space case, that day, somehow or the other, I was able to like really, tap in, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, the Manobhishta, the innermost heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Priti Vite Yateyacha Nagarati Gram Sarvata Prachar Hoibe Moranam. Yare Deko Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara Gai Guru Haya Tara Desh. That whoever you see, whoever you meet, you tell them about Krishna. Krishna Upadesh is literally Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, that's what it is. I don't care what anyone says. Krishna Upadesh are Srila Prabhupada's books, and any books which is in line with Srila Prabhupada's books is also Krishna Upadesh. So I was thinking to myself that Srila Prabhupada's books is Krishna Upadesh, and this is the Manobhishta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants these books to go out. And like, we don't do it like other places where like, where you go like throw a whole bunch of books for free and give. We get money for the books we distribute, because Prabhupada's books are worth money. Actually, if you were to take Srila Prabhupada's books and put them on a weighing scale, no matter how much gold you put on the other side, it wouldn't even be worth that much. Prabhupada's books are worth much more than that. So what's a petty $100 for Srila Prabhupada's? What's a petty $200? What's a petty $300? Didn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, Shivram Maharaj, speaks about how back in the day, they would not speak a single word sometimes. They would just do like this, tap their pocket. They would do like this, and then somehow the money would come out. So I thought to myself, like, man, is this even possible? Is this possible? So you know what? Let me just try it, right? So then there was this guy walking, right? It was me, Srila Prabhupada's books, and it was him. And I looked at him, and with this intense desire of distributing Prabhupada's books to him. And then he looks at me, and he walks straight to me. And he tells me, I want to give you a donation. And I said, great. Then he said, do you take card? I took out my phone and I plugged in my Square. I said, yeah, I take card. And then this is what he did, right? So then he typed, so you must have seen this before, this Square. So first he typed, he typed this. So he typed 1. Then he added another 0. Then it became 10. Then he added another 0. It became 100. I was thinking, yeah, I've got a $100 donation so many times. Then he types a freaking this. He types $1,000.
It's too bright. Okay.
It's too bright. Okay, sorry. Sorry. So he types $1,000 without me saying a single word to him. And then he buys like a few Bhagavatam sets and this and that. I never met this guy before. He doesn't know me. I don't know him. He barely knows anything about anything. But then, it was in that, in that intense thing. Because the mind is our worst enemy. If we learn to, somehow bash this mind up, impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary, Prabhupada said. And it is true. The only thing, my policy, and this is a policy of everyone in Christian Life Atlanta, approach anything that moves. You see it moving, you see it having 2 legs, go, unless it's a minor. We have one rule. Don't approach any minors.
Any what? Migrant?
Minors.
Oh, minors. Okay.
Those under the age of 18.
Okay.
Don't approach any minors. But anything else that moves, go approach it.
Okay.
Go approach it. And then I approach everyone. I don't care, if they, because I remember I went and I spoke to this homeless guy. All this guy was homeless. He's like, pulls out like this water can. Yeah. So I gave him books and he bought books from me. Abhimanyu was like, what the? He was shocked. He was shocked. So he's like, come on, you never know, man. You never know. These people, you never know. You never know from these people, So again. And this happened too. Like one time I was in the airport, and then like I just approached a guy, and like he told me he's an atheist. I told him, I don't care. Can you give me a donation? I love big donations. So then he said, but I'm an atheist. I said, it doesn't matter. Why don't you just give a donation, man? give me a nice donation. And he said, you know what? Okay, fine. And then he pulls out his wallet, right? This is in the airport, Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls out his wallet, and then he has a wad of luxury, okay? And he takes the whole thing and he gives it to me.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. And I take it like immediately. Like anytime someone's handing me money, my dude, I just grab it like, and put it away, you know. So I took it, I kept it in my pocket, you know, in my fanny pack. And then like I gave him like a big stack of books. And he said, you know, I told you I'm an atheist. I said, give this to your enemies. And he's like, okay. And he took the whole thing. So I go into the bathroom and I counted, it's $1,267. And you know, you never know who's going to give you what, even if they're an atheist, even if they're a Christian, you know. We tell them like, hey man, sometimes when I'm distributing books, I'm like, you know, I don't like to give it to like religious organizations. I said, you know, don't worry, you know, we help people get off the mental platform. So many people are on the mental platform, we get them off the mental platform and they read Prabhupada's books. You know, can you help? Because it's true, we do help them get off the mental platform. So, you know, the people like, so we approach anyone. So, anyway. So right. going back to the day, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but were you going to say something?
Well, I'm, you know, just impressed with your enthusiasm. I'm obviously you have lines to respond to these people, but they're responding to your enthusiasm and, you know, your conviction, you know, in what you're doing. You're convinced that this has to be distributed, and they pick up on that energy. Just like Prabhupada said when Gopal Krishna Goswami placed books in a bookstore, then and not many books were being sold. And Gopal Krishna Goswami went to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, they're not selling very well in this bookstore. And Prabhupada mentioned that, well, that's because the salesmen in the bookstore are not devotees. They don't have the enthusiasm as my disciples have. So you are a prime example of one with enthusiasm, which I think is the meaning of your name. All right, so take me to the day. When did you know you broke the record?
At a certain point, I actually had this realization that these living entities have been suffering since time immemorial, and now it's come to an end. Now that's it. Prabhupada's entered their life, and he will drag them back home, back to Godhead, if they like it or not. Because this is Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And it became so intense that I just went really, really crazy. And I was like moving so fast, and I was saying so fast, and I was completely out of control. But I guess I was under the control of the Guru Varga, and books were like flying out of my hands, like no one's business.
That's a good meditation for sure. The desire to give.
Yeah.
At what point did you then realize that you were getting close to the goal, to the world record?
You know, I was taking pictures. The anticipation was increasing, and especially Kalki Prabhu. Kalki Prabhu was like, he's like, let me know when it happens. Let me know when it happens. Saying like, you please, you bless when you pray. He's my senior. You please, you bless when you pray for me. You give me your blessings, Prabhu, like that this happens. Mm-hmm. And one meditation I had also is I'm distributing these books right now. But the reason the books are going out is because I'm just eating the remnants of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. And all the other previous Sankirtan devotees after Prabhupada's disciples before me, their sacrifice is paying off right now. So all those rascals who say that Prabhupada's book distribution doesn't work, here's an answer to your foolishness. Then the fruits, that the seeds have been sowed and the fruits are coming out, and we're plucking them. And the Krishna consciousness movement is going to explode, and it's going to expand to such a high degree. I had this realization that I'm just picking up the remnants of all the Prabhupada disciples and all the blood that they spilled on the battlefield. Now it's our time to go and do the same thing. And I had this realization that day. I remember I was coming closer and closer, and I was I remember, texting Kalki Prabhu, and I was like, down to 50, down to 40, and then when it actually happened, I remember the last guy before I broke the record. Yeah. I was actually at 900. And then I convinced this guy to give me a huge donation.
Uh-huh.
Give him a huge stack of books. And I'm like, okay, we've created history right now. And you're the last guy because of whom the world record is broken. Can I please take a picture with you? And you know what he said?
What?
He said no. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Take a picture with me, bro. Come on. He said no. I said, come on. He said no. I said, take the books and go, you know.
What is the new record?
On the whole, I distributed 1,458 books.
1,458?
Yeah. And then, and out of those, there was 1,177 Maha books. And the rest were like Nectar of Instruction and Coming Back. And anyway, I broke that record again, and that's a whole, and it was 1,500 after that. But anyway, that's for some other time. But
now, what is the record now? So someone can try to achieve that,
yeah,
to break that record.
Mahotsaha should try to break his own record. So right now,
what is the world record right now, this day,
so,
February 12th?
Yeah, so
2022.
the Maha Big books are still 1,177, but the total amount of books is 1,502.
Okay.
And that it was awesome. It happened. It was so great. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It's like it was like, and the only thing I was praying was, man, please don't let me just wake up and all this just be a dream.
A dream.
Because it's happened to me so many times, like I dreamt that like, wow, I just broke the record. Yeah. And I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Tamagun like anything. What am I doing? I'm sleeping, like a dog.
Well,
but,
we're certainly glad and appreciative of your effort that it was not a dream, it was reality.
Yeah.
And that records are to be broken.
Yeah.
And but you have certainly set the bar very high, and we appreciate it. We're running out of time here on the Zoom clock, but I want to thank you for that. Do you have one last parting words you want to?
Yeah. Coming back and offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, coming back to the temple and offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada that day, it was the most satisfying thing, offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. There's nothing more satisfying than that. And yeah, our whole life, and of course, and when I came back, Kalki Prabhu had like a special face that he made for me, and I sat and I ate it with all my Sankirtan brothers. That was really awesome. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Really so kind of him.
Well, I can imagine you must have been shedding some tears of love for that serving the pastacharyas like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Keep on with the seva. You're doing a fantastic job, and everyone appreciates it.
Thank you.
Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna. One check up with the
Kripa Sindhu Beva Cha Patitana Pavane Beva Vaishnavi Bona.